Previously on Ace Attorney. Could I ask what you were doing at the time of the crime? In other words, you'd like to hear my alibi. Tisk. To think you'd suspect me of all people. Oh no, it's just a formality. How dare you doubt me? That's an affront to beauty itself. You obviously can't see straight. That was you spraying cologne in my eyes. Hello, I'm Unca Crunk. Welcome back to Ace Attorney and day one of the trial of Damien Tenma. April 18th, 9:15 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. You okay, Athena? Been really antsy ever since we got here. I'm just excited. This is my first real court case after all. Yeah, real ball of excitement she is. I know just what she needs. Athena! Can you ever learn about indoor and outdoor voices? I'm just trying to show you the best way to relieve your pre-trial jitters. By scaring the daylights out of me? No, I'm not shouting, "I'm fine," in a loud voice really relieves stress. It's part of my Chorus of Steel voice workout and a must before every trial. You want me to shout? Here? That's right. Here, I'll go first. Then you try. All right, let's start off slow. Kind of a warm-up. Say, key seriously. Key seriously. All right? Key seriously. Key seriously. Good. Now let's move on to something with a little more pep. Heat from fire, fire from heat. Heat from fire, fire from heat. Heat from fire, fire from heat. Heat from fire. Wait a minute. Come on, Athena, don't flag on me now. Heat from fire, fire from heat. Heat from fire, fire from heat. I'm Apollo Justice and I'm fine. All right, I'm Athena Sykes. And I'm fine. I think that actually worked. All right, thought it might help. Always works for me. An old friend of mine from junior high and I say it all the time. I see. A proven remedy to calm the soul. I like it. Hey, how about we finish off with a race around the courthouse? The point is to relieve stress, not get totally exhausted. Oh, hello. What's up with all the racket, you two? Oh, Mr. Wright. Just a little voice workout. Hey, what's with the suit? Oh, this? I was thinking about getting my attorney's badge back, that's all. That's all? That's huge news! But why now? I have a feeling I'll be needed in the courtroom again sometime soon. But we can talk about that another time. No fair. Inquiring minds want to know. But wow. I'm so used to him being in his usual laid-back clothes. That suit makes him look like $1 million. Oh, by the way, have you heard about the prosecutor assigned to this case? Yeah, something about him being in prison as a convicted murderer? Yeah, he's serving time, but before that, he was a prosecutor. He also uses psychology. That's right. I've heard the rumors about how he was back before his conviction. Using the power of suggestion, he can make even the most stalwart defendants confess. Psychology in the courtroom. Been hearing a lot about that lately. So he must be a pretty scary guy considering he's a prison inmate and all. So they say. They also say he'll cut you down if you talk too much. Damn! I knew he was going to be bad news. Talking too much is kind of my thing. It's probably just hyperbole. At least I hope for your sake. Wait, so is it true or not? Let's just say you should be concise and choose your words carefully. If you'd like to keep that head of yours attached to the rest of your body, that is. Damn! Better tone down my Courts of Steel, too. So, are you all ready? It might be a good idea to check the court record again before stepping into the ring. Right, Mr. Wright, but I'm fine. I'll be watching from the gallery. Good luck. Thanks. Okay, let's do this. The odds of pulling this off are ridiculously low, but that's nothing new. Believe in our client. Seek the truth. That's all we can do. Hang in there, Mayor Tenma. Here comes justice! April 18th, 9:30 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Day 1. Court is now in session. All rise! Court is now in session for the trial of Damien Tenma. Apollo Justice Defense Team Leader is ready, Your Honor. I know that big booming voice anywhere. Chipper as ever, huh, Mr. Justice? But who is the young lady next to you? I'm Athena Sykes, Mr. Justice's junior partner and fresh out of law school. Oh, now, full of beans too, eh? Excellent. Makes an old man feel young again. Now for the prosecution. It appears the prosecution is not ready yet. Never fear, for I shall explain. It's just a minor procedural complication, Your Honor. The prosecutor for this case is being escorted from prison as we speak. Prison? Oh, yes, of course. I almost forgot that he is currently serving time. Ow.
Yup, Prosecutor Blackwell's an inmate.
What?
But even a convicted murderer still got a job to do and duties to perform.
Let me guess. Your favorite album is Disintegrator. Who's that with his back to us over there? That's him. I'm sure of it. Prosecutor Blackwell. Is the prosecution ready? Enough jabbering. Get on with it already. Of course, forgive me. Why are all the people related to this case so scary? Very well, Prosecutor Blackwell. Your opening statement, if you please. What's the matter? Must we continue to fritter away time like this? It is all right there in the indictment. An opening statement would be pointless. Pointless? Oh, well... looks like the cat, or in this case, the prosecutor, has the judge's tongue. But, we need an opening statement as an overview of the case at hand. Well then, your baldness, if it's so very important, why don't you do the honors? Who, me? There's a term for people who whine and fuss about how they need silly, useless things, and then decide they no longer want them once it's theirs. A selfish old fool. Wait, was that the prosecution's opening statement? Old dotards such as yourself are a plague upon the young. I pity your poor grandchildren, or is it great-grandchildren? All these years, I thought the opening statement was the prosecutor's job. But I suppose I could give it a try. Might be a nice change of pace. What? He actually fell for that? That must have been the power of suggestion Mr. Wright was talking about. The opening statement, huh? Let's see here. The victim was one Rex Cuby, alderman of the Nine Tails Vale. And the defendant, Damien Tenma, mayor of Tenma Town, is accused of his murder. And why, pray tell, was the mayor arrested? His prints were on the murder weapon. Plus, he had a motive. The elimination of the biggest roadblock to the municipal merger. The caretaker and the secretary, other potential suspects, both have alibis. And his daughter, who was also in the vicinity at the time of the indictment, has no motive. So, in a nutshell, I'd have to say the charges against the defendant are incontrovertible. Bravo, your boldness. Your years of experience shine bright like your head. Flattery will get you everywhere.
He's playing Simon Says with the judge.
Moving right along now, let's hear from our first witness for today, Detective Fulbright. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I am the detective assigned to this case, Bobby Fulbright. Oh, and I'll also be keeping tabs on old Blackquill here. I also heard you would provide protection if it ever came to that. It would seem that I have been sorely underestimated.
Wait, who's protecting who from what?
Still, I truly believe anyone can turn the life around, even old Blackquill here. Fulbright, save your platitudes for funerals. Get on with your statement. That's the spirit. Justice must be swift and true. I see it in your eyes. There is hope for your rehabilitation and return to society. I will never give up on you.
Prosecutor Blackwell doesn't seem to intimidate Detective Fulbright.
Well, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss.
Oh, so that's why Detective Fulbright was assigned to Blackwell. He's so oblivious.
Now, let's have your first statement, Detective Fulbright. You got it. But first, I'd like to say to the defense that justice will ultimately prevail.
My name is Justice. Do you not know this yet?
About the murder. Alderman Cuby was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. Fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Tenma, were found on the murder weapon. At the time, Alderman Cuby was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Mayor Tenma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed a statue and struck back.
Okay. Alderman Cuby had been slipped some kind of sleep-inducing drug?
That's right. The accused was scared because the alderman was a former pro wrestler. So he slipped him a drug to make sure he'd be out cold and defenseless. Here's the autopsy report to prove it.
Oh. Okay, cause of death, stabbed with a spear. Estimated time of death, around 3:20 p.m. The victim had been in a drug-induced slumber.
And the victim managed to attack his attacker, despite being impaled by a spear? That sounds almost superhuman. Is it even possible? Well, he was a former pro wrestler after all. That spear was probably nothing more than a mosquito bite to him.
Objection!
Not so fast. Don't try to brush it all off by saying the alderman had been a pro wrestler. Do you really expect us to believe he could fight back after being skewered by a spear?
Never heard of the incredible feats of which a man is capable of in a pinch, have you? Like the samurai of yore, wrestlers can battle through intense pain that sharpens their senses. I used to talk about it with a former wrestler I met in the clink.
I don't know. Still sounds a little far-fetched.
Does it now? Then perhaps we should test the theory on you with the edge of my blade.
I didn't sign up for this.
And so your life is spared for now.
Please let those shackles be made of titanium. I don't want to die.
My investigations are as thorough as they are foolproof, or my name isn't Fulbright. I vow to resign immediately if I ever make a false arrest. The accused prints were on the weapon, and he's the one person without an alibi. Quite decisive evidence. Wouldn't you agree, your baldness?
The defendant is sounding guiltier by the minute.
He has the judge leaning toward a guilty verdict, and the trial's just barely begun. What's more, a curious rumor about the accused is making the rounds. They say he seeks the merger for the purpose of freeing Tenmataro from his imprisonment. Truth be told, I can think of no real reason to show interest in that backwards burg. Perhaps he's a complete nutter and really does seek to release an imaginary demon. Either way, he is raving mad and more than capable of murdering the alderman.
That mayor is a strange one. I already went on a blood drive, but instead of donating, he tried to make a withdrawal. Order! There will be no gossiping in my court!
Your baldness, please take a gander at those charms plastered around his cranium. I hear them meant to keep him safe from possession by the demon Tenmataro. Then again... Yep. Perhaps he's already under the demon's spell. Behold! The lunatic appears poised to lunge at you at any moment.
Hold it!
The rumors and quirks of Mayor Tenma have no relevance to this case. Besides, those charms on his head, they're just a fashion statement, I think.
Come to think of it, such things don't seem relevant to the case, do they?
The prosecution will refrain from dragging our client's reputation through the mud. Oh, what a dreadfully fearsome lass we have here. Whew, thanks for that lifeline, Athena. Careful, Apollo, he has the judge dancing in the palm of his hand. The power of suggestion is one of the more powerful tools in Simon Blackwell's arsenal. He's trying to manipulate everyone's impressions to suit his objectives. This guy really is bad news.
In any case, it seems the victim did manage to defend himself despite being impaled. What sort of weapon did he use against his attacker?
None other than this statue right here.
It appears to be a statue of two strange creatures locked in battle.
Two yokai, to be exact. On one side is the nine-tailed fox, and on the other, Tenmataro. Quite interesting, if you think about it. It's as though this very case were rendered in art. Ox and demon statue updated. Okay, no prints could be lifted. Mayor's blood found on it, though.
Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Cross-examination, start. Alderman Kirby was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall.
Hold it!
So, those weapons on the wall of the Fox Chamber, I presume those are real? Don't you think keeping real weapons around like that is rather dangerous? No matter what he collected, the Alderman insisted it be the real deal. For instance, he had a real demon's club in his possession. Apparently, one of his ancestors claimed it after defeating a demon in battle. What? That's gotta be an old wives' tale. Alderman had pure, unadulterated justice flowing in his veins. Whatever he did it right. We've lost a real champion of justice in his death. Nothing but claptrap and balderdash, if you ask me. Now stop your bleating and tell us about the weapon. Your wish is my command. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Tenma, were found on the murder weapon.
Hold it!
It doesn't make sense if you think about it. Prints could easily be wiped off. You do have a point there. I'd venture to say he did not wipe off the prints because he could not. What do you mean? Oh, looks like he wants you to figure it out. Well, don't just stand there, show him who's boss. I'm totally lost. So why don't you just tell me the answer already? I don't think he saw that plea for help. You feeling all right, kid? We're on fever, perhaps? I wish trials came with a reset button. Well, the specifics may yet come to light. Please proceed, Detective Fulbright. He couldn't wipe off the fingerprints because he'd been knocked out with the statue. At the time, Alderman Cubey was asleep from a drug he'd unwittingly ingested.
Hold it!
Come to think of it, a coffee cup was found on the floor. Was the sedative in his coffee? Bingo! We found traces of a sleeping agent all over the inside of that cup. And that is why he was out cold. That is, until he leapt to his feet upon being impaled by the mayor. What an awful way to wake up. A rather stimulating eye-opener, if you ask me. I, too, would have risen to the attack, for to die in battle is the samurai way. Paradise awaits fallen heroes, but that hole in his stomach would make eating a challenge. What? Prosecutor Blackwell, please. Those morbid jokes of yours have no place in this court. Says the jester in detective's gaze. Moving right along. Mayor Tenma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab.
Hold it!
So the alderman was drugged because he was really strong? Did you see those rock-hard muscles of his? I'm surprised the spear even managed to pierce that armor-like musculature. I admit I'm completely jealous of that righteous body of his. Well, he did look pretty buff, even in that suit he had on. Quite a difference when compared with a yellow belly like you. Yellow belly? Who even says that anymore? Yeah, and the color's all wrong, too. Ooh, I know. How about a squishy red tomato? I move to strike both your comments from the record.
Mr. Justice's character is not the issue here. Now let's get back to what happened after the far more muscular alderman was impaled.
Yes, well, your average person would likely have died on the spot. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed a statue and struck back.
Hold it!
Could he really have attacked his attacker after being impaled with that huge spear? Absolutely. After all, he was once a pro wrestler. The injustice of being drugged, then speared, was answered with a righteous counterattack. But does being a former pro wrestler make him superhuman? Absolutely. After all, he was one of the good guys, like a superhero on the side of justice. Even though he is retired, he could still don his superhero guise in times of need.
Objection!
You need to lay off the comic books, detective. We're talking about real life here. Setting aside the half-wit's flights of fancy, the fact is this. The court order post-mortem and concluded the victim moved after his skewering. So he found the strength somehow to attack his attacker, huh? Detective Fulbright's testimony sounds airtight. No wonder he's so confident. No, he only thinks it's airtight. It's up to us to poke some holes in it. Like, for example, where are the fingerprints on the statue? That part about the alderman fighting back sounds like a big hole waiting to be poked. All right, let's skip ahead. And present the statue.
Objection!
Did the alderman really strike the mayor? What? Are you questioning my sense of justice? Your so-called justice needs to find yourself a pair of legs to stand on. You claim the alderman struck back after the mayor put his spear through him. But the statue he supposedly used to defend himself creates a major hole in your theory.
It would appear that the defense has a counter-argument. Very well, let's hear what the defense thinks is odd about the detective statue theory.
There are no fingerprints. There are no fingerprints on this supposedly crucial piece of evidence. And if you look at the crime scene photo, you'll notice that the alderman isn't wearing gloves.
Yes, I believe he is quite gloveless indeed.
If he touched the statue with his bare hands, he should have left some fingerprints. Detective Fulbright, you did take that into account during your investigation, didn't you? This can't be happening. Did I arrest the wrong man? Yes. You did it, Apollo. You knocked Detective Fulbright off his high horse. Well, it's just 1 point in our favor. What do you suppose clubbed the mayor if it wasn't the alderman? Well, if it wasn't the alderman, that means someone else must have clubbed the mayor. Yeah, it stands to reason. You mean there was a third party in the Fox chamber? Exactly. And this could be the big break we've been looking for.
There does seem to be a hole in the prosecution's argument. Prosecutor Blackwell, would you care to respond to the defense's assertion?
The least you could do is look at me while being dismissive. Your mind is as dull as an unhoned blade, Justice Dono. Justice... what now? It's been watching too many samurai flicks. It will take far more than that to cut down Simon Blackwell. A whelp such as you has no hope against my superior swordsmanship. This is a trial, not a sword fight, Prosecutor Blackwell. There's a perfectly good explanation for the lack of prints on the statue. You might recall that blood-stained cloth found at the scene of the crime. Well, it just so happens that the blood was the mayor's. So, what are you getting at? Own your mind, boy. Why was there blood on that cloth? Solve that riddle, and you shall see that the hole you thought you found is but an illusion. Now, let's see. How was that cloth used? Was it used to wrap the statue? Maybe the alderman wrapped the statue in the cloth. In short, he wasn't touching the statue directly when he used it to strike back at the mayor. Ah! Precisely. Bully for you, boy. Oh, it's nothing. Apollo, don't let him start manipulating you too. You just closed the hole for the prosecution. I did? Oh, I did. Right. That a statue wrapped in cloth would leave no fingerprints is as plain as day. But this also proves there are no holes in our theory of the alderman striking back. Oops. Okay. Now do you see how dull your mind is? I'll make sure to sharpen it next time. A particularly frightening inmate once told me that. He always tenderly honed his blades before he went to work, like the samurai of yore.
Samurai? Sounds more like a homicidal maniac to me.
Actually, he was working in the prison kitchen at the time. Wait, so the inmate was a murdering samurai prison chef?
It would seem that the victim and his killer were the only ones there after all.
I was kind of attached to that hole. Now what? Apollo, I just thought of something. If they didn't find anyone's fingerprints on that statue, who's to say someone other than the alderman didn't hit the mayor with it? Why didn't I think of that? Anybody could have not left prints on it. And who, pray tell, struck the mayor with a statue? Please illuminate us with your wisdom, young lady.
There's only one answer. The real killer.
Prove the existence of this real killer, then. What evidence have you?
Oh, I'll give you evidence, all right.
Athena, are you sure about this?
To borrow your words, Apollo, I'm fine. Take a look at this. Black feathers and tracks allegedly from a yokai were found at the scene. I believe they're from the third party who struck the mayor with that statue.
Is the defense actually suggesting some sort of monster killed the alderman?
That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Objection!
You're what? No, Athena, you just lost what little credibility we had left. Sorry, I guess I got a little carried away.
Mr. Justice, we've no time to deal with objections between members of the defense.
Sorry, Your Honor. It's just, this kid's still, well, a kid. Ouch. You meanie! I'm reporting this to Mr. Wright.
So is this court to believe the feathers and tracks are from a yokai, as you put it?
No, Your Honor. I believe they are fabrication. The real killer wants us to believe some sort of monster murdered the alderman.
Interesting. And why do you suppose the killer would do that?
Why indeed? Hang on.
Mr. Justice, you seem as new to this as your partner is.
Ouch. This, I'm not reporting to Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright is in the gallery, Apollo. He knows.
Boy, Fulbright, explain to his baldness what these brats are missing. You know, the who and the why behind those feathers and tracks.
You mean you can explain all that?
Our investigative prowess is without equal.
I'm starting to think I chose the wrong profession.
Very well, let's hear about these so-called yokai feathers and tracks.
Witness testimony.
Feathers and tracks. This entire case centers on one man's attempt to crush opposition from the municipal merger. Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetails helped embolden the protesters. So he stoked the villagers' fears by fabricating a monster. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like a yokai was the killer.
Those feathers and tracks stoked the villagers' fears?
Absolutely. He knew exactly how to prey on their superstitious minds.
Those feathers only gave weight to the idea that the alderman was slain by a demon. The accursed demon Tenma Taro, that is.
Tenma who now?
Tenma Taro, the legendary demon locked away in the village's forbidden chamber. From a young age, the villagers are taught to fear the great black-feathered demon, and thus were they blinded to other, more plausible explanations.
Hold it!
Now hold on for a second. Before we start letting our imaginations run wild, isn't there someone else that could be considered a suspect?
Mr. Justice, please explain yourself.
On the day of the incident, there was a special event held at QB Manor. And as part of this event, there was someone dressed in the likeness of Tenma Taro. Obviously, this person is much more likely suspect than any legendary demon.
Objection!
Solid. You are playing right into the killer's mind games. But listen here. The feathers and tracks were merely red herrings. The villagers believe the murder to be the work of the real Tenma Taro. However, the police believe that the person in the Tenma Taro suit is the killer. The defendant sought to sow this confusion in order to deflect blame away from himself.
However, he was knocked unconscious by the alderman, and thus our mentally deficient mayor was caught red-handed at the scene of the crime.
Objection!
Do you honestly believe Mayor Tenma would do something so stupid?
Objection!
The evidence speaks for itself. Cool Bright. Right. Here's the mayor's last-ditch effort to stop the opposition before things got crazy. The Major Ninetails was fueling both the yokai craze and the anti-merger movement. Plus, he's one of the better-known masked wrestlers and the hometown favorite. That's why the mayor panicked and set out on the path of injustice. But do the people of Ninetails Vale really believe a yokai is behind the crime? Yokai sightings are an everyday event there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I must say, crime that preys upon innocent, impressionable minds. Just so. A particularly silver-tongued inmate once had the following words for me. The innocence of heart are the easiest prey. You'll say, was this inmate a con artist? No. He was framed for the murder of his beloved. I actually felt sorry for the poor chap. Wait, so he wasn't the predator, but rather the prey? Yes, well, now then, the defense may proceed with their cross-examination. Cross-examination, start! This entire case centers on one man's attempt to crush opposition to the municipal merger.
Hold it!
Detective Fulbright, is the anti-merger movement really that strong? Oh, absolutely. They parade around in yokai costumes shouting, "Down with Mayor Tenma!" And just the other day, they stormed Tenma City Hall claiming it was a den of vipers. But when the accused showed his face, the angry mob scattered like leaves upon an autumn wind. For you see, lowly yokai are no match for Tenma Taro, the dark lord of their kind. Wait, are the villagers scared of Mayor Tenma or Tenma Taro? I'm confused. I think he means Mayor Tenma. It's easy to get the wrong impression about the guy. Detective Fulbright, why do you suppose the defendant would commit such an act? Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetails helped embolden the protesters.
Hold it!
The amazing Ninetails? No one knows his true identity, right? That's right. And he was a lone wolf, or in other words, he didn't belong to a wrestling federation. He appeared like a shooting star, defeating one Tenma Town wrestler after another. And before anyone knew it, he was a champion. Like the samurai of yore, surrounded thick with enemies, he cut them down one by one. It was a complete and utter loss of face for Tenma Town Pro Wrestling. He's amazing. If ever there was a real superhero, it'd be him. I dream of becoming a true champion of justice like him someday. I bet Detective Fulbright would be a great pro wrestler. He could even team up with Prosecutor Blackwell. A police detective and a prisoner in chains? You know, I think people would actually pay to see that. I know I would. So you do understand the greatness that is the amazing Ninetails. So we stoked the villagers' fears by fabricating a monster. The straight... Oh, wait. Back.
Hold it!
Did the murder and yokai evidence really stoke the villagers' fears? Absolutely. It had an immediate effect. The presumed return of the dreaded Tenma Taro had them shaking in their boots. Oh my, is it really that bad? That superstitious lot says if Jack the Ripper had been set loose in their village. The mere thought of that demon lurking about is enough to spark a mass exodus. I see. That's a very persuasive argument. A mere thought of His Honor buying into Simon the Psycho Slasher's words Makes me want to spark my own exodus out of the courtroom right about now. So you see, there can only be one reason why anyone would plant those feathers and tracks. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like a yokai was the killer.
Hold it!
But it doesn't add up. If what you say is true, why top it off with murder? What do you mean? You claim that our client planted the yokai evidence to stoke the villagers' fears. If so, then why not stop there? Why murder Alderman QB? Excellent point. It is, isn't it? So, Your Honor agrees there was no reason for the murder, correct?
Objection!
Perhaps the killing was on the spur of the moment. You're saying it wasn't premeditated? From the outset, I had no intention of paying heed to any of your babble. However, the fact is, the mayor made a startling discovery. A startling what now? Why don't I like the sound of that? Alderman QB's secret identity. Oh crap. Apollo. I think Prosecutor Blackwell has figured out the Alderman's secret identity. But even if he has, why would it be a motive for the mayor to commit murder? This is not good. This patch of fur was discovered at the crime scene. It's from the mask worn by the amazing Ninetales. Therefore, we can conclude that this mask was at the crime scene. Oh my! But why would it have been there? The victim was a former pro wrestler and a member of the anti-merger movement. Need I say more? Well, could it really be? Your baldness has had an epiphany, I see. Our victim, Rex QB, was the amazing Ninetales. And the mayor's discovery of this fact was his motive for murder. No! Order! Order! What a shocking development! A motive clearer than crystal clear! What do we do now, Apollo? I didn't think they tied the Alderman's secret identity to the mayor's motive for murder. At last, we've reached my real point. Why did the Alderman have to forge a secret identity? Does it not pique your interest, your boldness? I admit it does. It is odd that he had to create another persona just to secretly participate in the anti-merger movement. Very astute of you, your boldness. Right, now take a look at this. Blackmail letter. If you value your dearest life, you will merge Ninetales Vale with Tenmatown. This blackmail letter was found in Alderman QB's pocket. Oh, great. At present, the Alderman's wife is in the hospital. And that letter is clear evidence the mayor was blackmailing him by threatening her life. Wait, didn't the blackmail letter sent to Mayor Tenma go missing? Right after the Alderman's murder? You think maybe the killer took the letter from the mayor after the murder and planted it into the Alderman's pocket? It's possible, but we don't have any proof of that. Are you okay? I think I'm fine. Do you smell toast? But we don't have any proof that that's what happened. Talk about being up the creek without a paddle or boat. Great. Mayor Tinman would have made a clean getaway if he just left after planting the yokai things. But he is knocked out cold by a sudden decision to kill the amazing Ninetales. So it was the amazing Ninetales counterattack that brought the entire crime to light. Wait a sec. Fulbright's claiming that the mayor killed the alderman after planting the yokai evidence, and that the mayor was knocked out cold immediately after that? Detective Fulbright, please add your previous statement to your testimony. Mayor Tenma killed the sleeping alderman after planting the feathers and tracks.
Hold it!
So let me get this straight. You believe the mayor planted the yokai evidence before the murder, not after? Absolutely. And then he was knocked out cold by the alderman's last punch. He wouldn't have had a chance to plant the evidence after that. Something's not right here. Hard to believe that a stiff, humanless man like the mayor could be behind such a stunt. You have to do something, Apollo, before they pin it all on the mayor. And we're going to need to prove that Mayor Tenma didn't plant that yokai stuff. How are we supposed to do that? Hang on. Okay, first of all, let's skip to the end because I think that's where we need to figure this out. So, let's take a look at this. Well, the tracks are in blood. Okay.
Objection!
Detective Fulbright, your sense of justice is anything but fair. What's this? You dare question my justice again? Yes, and I'm going to prove it to you. Take a look at this photo. This is a crime scene photo. And just what does this prove? It proves when the feathers and tracks were planted. But I already told you they were planted before the murder. The defendant planted the yokai evidence, then was knocked out while killing his victim. But that would be impossible. If you look right here, it's clear when the feathers and tracks were left at the scene. I mean, and also there are feathers on top of the blood.
Take that!
Aren't you just pointing to the yokai feathers and tracks, Mr. Justice?
Yes. See how the feathers are on top of the blood and the tracks are made in blood? In other words, the yokai evidence could have only resulted after the murder. Then the mayor must have planted the evidence after killing the alderman. But you said it yourself. The mayor had been knocked unconscious thereafter. There would have been no time for him to plant any evidence at all. Therefore, there must have been someone else besides the mayor and the alderman at the crime scene. There must be some mistake. Order! Order! Where's the evidence? You can't possibly have any, can you? Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. In fact, I have an eyewitness's testimony for you. You do? But how? Was my vaunted sense of justice really just half-baked? He's taking this really hard.
Mr. Justice, what is this testimony regarding a third party that you claim to have?
I have it right here, Your Honor. It's the sworn testimony of Mr. Tenma's daughter. The witness, Jinxie Tenma, saw a yokai in the hallway after stumbling upon the scene. It was the demon Tenma Taro. He's the source of those feathers and tracks. I'm talking about a costume, people, not a real yokai. Oh my god. They actually think I'm talking about a real yokai. Will somebody please say something?
The defense will explain to the court exactly what he means.
You dare to mock this court and justice itself? You're unfit to bear your name, boy. Your boldness. It appears our defense attorney here is delirious from exhaustion.
Hold it!
Apollo, think of something quick before you're held in contempt of court.
What do you think I'm trying to do? Before you decide whether I should step down, please hear me out. Very well, Mr. Justice, I'm all ears. But you'd better explain yourself well. What was this yokai you were talking about? It's all in this statement here. Jinxie Tenma asserts that she saw Tenma Taro. After she discovered the crime scene and called the police, she claimed that she came around a corner in the hall. It was around here that she saw Tenma Taro fleeing toward the foyer. The defense asserts that whoever was impersonating this monster is the one who left those feathers and tracks behind, intentionally or otherwise. What? How incredibly unjust. Why haven't I heard about this before? The defense just proved there was someone else. So the male wasn't the killer? It was all a setup? The prosecutor is gonna convict the killer? Apollo, the momentum has shifted in our favor. Good. Now let's keep it that way.
Objection!
Uh-oh. Little do you realize that though you are in the midst of a fray, your sword is broken. My, what now? Didn't know I had a sword to break. Are you implying there's a problem with my claim? Consider this. If that yokai impersonator had indeed fled toward the foyer, that fool and that fop would have seen him. Fool and fop? Oh, you mean Filch and LaBelle. Now that you mention it. Both Phineas Filch and Florence LaBelle were in the foyer at the time. But they haven't stated that they saw a yokai, have they? Did you ever consider that yokai was but a figment of a scared little girl's imagination? Why didn't those two see the Tenma Taro impersonator pass by? Well, Filch was watching a wrestling match. LaBelle was killing, LaBelle was dressed up as the Taro, Tenma Taro. Why don't we ask them ourselves? I was just about to say that. No, really, I was. The defense would like to call Mr. Phineas Filch, caretaker of QB Manor, to the stand. I just know he must have seen something. I suppose we can't ignore the fact that the little girl believes she saw a monster. I trust you have no objections to Mr. Justice's request, Prosecutor Blackwell. I understand that Mr. Filch is enjoying a nap out in the lobby. I knew that Tanuki was a rare find. But when we captured him, I didn't think he'd end up as a witness. Do with him as you will. Did he just say captured? No, wait. I don't want to know. Very well then. Bailiff, please go wake Mr. Filch and escort him to the witness stand. In the next episode, to the outro. Okay, so hear me out. LaBelle drugged both QB and Tenma, possibly with the assistance of Filch, stabbed QB, bunked Tenma, possibly with the intent to make it look like they killed each other, planted Tenma's fingerprints on the spear, tore the ward off the door to the inner chamber. Maybe he accessed that chamber, maybe he failed to. Then he dressed up as Tenma Taro, left the room, ran into Jinxie, and staged a flight through the air for the local paper. Somehow. Meanwhile, Filch is watching a wrestling match, so he didn't see anything. Now, as for where LaBelle got the costume, maybe he had it with him. I've been operating under the assumption that Damien Tenma was actually the costume Tenma Taro in the performance earlier, but maybe it was LaBelle. Maybe the costume was in the inner chamber for some reason. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's a little shaky right now. Lots of wiggle words throughout this entire thing, but I think that's the general shape of things. The blackmail still confuses me, as does the degree to which Filch was actually culpable in all this. Hopefully we'll understand things a little better once we grill Filch.
In the meantime, up here's a playlist of my weekday series, Persona 3 Portable, and down here is a video that YouTube recommends. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!